The US government was planning on banning a certain chemical produced by Dow Chemical until its CEO met with the EPA chief, Scott Pruitt. Now, the chemical in question has been proven in numerous studies to cause some brain development issues among children. So as a result, a while ago, the government decided that, hey, we're gonna stop allowing households to use it. And for farmers who do use it, we wanna make sure there's a proper buffer between the farm and residents to ensure everyone's safety. However, Scott Pruitt's schedule shows that he met with Dow CEO Andrew Liveris for about half an hour March 9th during a conference held at a Houston hotel. 20 days later, Pruitt announced his decision to deny a petition to ban Dow's Chlorpyrifos pesticide from being sprayed on food. Even minuscule amounts of the chemical can interfere with the brain development of fetuses and infants. Now, here's another thing to keep in mind. Pruitt was asked whether he had met with the Dow Chemical CEO, and he denied it. Asked in April whether Pruitt had met with Dow executives or lobbyists before his decision, EPA spokesperson JP Fieri replied, I have had no meetings with Dow on this topic, or we have had no meetings on Dow with this topic.
Okay, so Associated Press did a great job of doing a Freedom of Information request here to get his actual schedule to find out what actually happened and to find out the EPA was lying about not meeting with Dow. The head of the EPA did. Now let's get to the substance of this decision. This chemical is incredibly dangerous. You know that it was, and I didn't know this until AP did this story. It was first developed as a chemical weapon in World War II. Now, not this exact form of it. Of course, they're not going to drop that on our food. They presumably altered it to kill bugs. So that's a pesticide,
and things
right?
Like that. Mm-hmm.
So okay, so that's so far. That doesn't prove that it's dangerous today. So then we turn to all the studies that have been done on it. And the American Academy of Pediatrics say that they are, quote, deeply alarmed by Pruitt's decision to allow this pesticide to continue to be used in this country. Deeply alarmed. They said, quote, the risk to infant and children's health and development is unambiguous. So it's not an open question. We are positive that this hurts brain development in kids. Now, I know people flip out sometimes if they see a pregnant woman smoking in public or having a drink in public, maybe very rightfully so. And we used to do that all the time back in the day, but we don't do that anymore because we think it might hurt the fetus and the development of the fetus. Remember, we're pro-life, right? So, I'm telling you, for all the Republicans out there who are pro-life, don't do that, what are you doing? And we gotta protect the fetus, right? That's the only time we care about humans is when they're fetuses. But anyway, all right, that's fine. But now we have scientists saying unequivocally, this will hurt their brain development. And Republicans go, yeah, but is somebody gonna make a buck off of it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is actually one of the most popular pesticides used in the world. 6 million pounds of it are dropped on our citrus fruits, apples, cherries, and other crops. And do kids eat apples?
Yeah.
Let alone the applesauce that babies eat, let alone that the women eat it while they're pregnant and that gets to the fetus. So,
and it also makes its way in the waterways as well. So even if you're not consuming these fruits or you're eating organic, it doesn't matter. It does make its way into our water.
In fact, some farm workers recently were sickened by this, and so there was a little bit of a panic, like, we're spraying it from planes. So they made decisions earlier, hey, you know what? We're not gonna let the Dow Chemical use this inside the homes because we know it does brain damage. So you're not allowed to use it inside the home. First of all, that's when we should have stopped using it, when we know it causes brain damage inside somebody's home. What, you spray it from a plane and it can't get inside your house? And then they said, okay, then in 2012, they're like, all right, not near the schools. Don't spray it from a plane and have it land on all the fruit that we eat and our kids eat if you think it causes brain damage. But now the Trump administration meets with Dow. 20 days later, they happen to decide, brain damage. Dow Chemical did do one smart thing. They wrote $1 million check to underwrite the president's inauguration festivities. let alone all the other money that was funneled to Republican politicians, and the fact that their CEO is now part of the White House Manufacturing Working Group. So when they say deregulation, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah. I'm curious whether, like Scott, let's take Scott Pruitt and his ilk, is an ugly ilk, but so does he just want to help out Dow Chemicals because they paid $1 million for this? Because they're more than that. Again, I don't, because they're consistent supporters. Because he does, or how much of it is that he doesn't believe in government regulation, that the market should dictate it. If people stop eating the fruit because it has that on that, well, then you stop using and it's as simple as that.
That's such a stupid idea.
Or does he not care about kids at all? I assume he has kids. I bet it's not that. I suspect he has an emotional reaction to a cute kid video, right? And he does. If he has a chance to take a kid out of a burning car, he probably does, right? If it's easy, or is he so trained over the course of his lifetime in public service to simply not believe the scientists? Yeah. Right? Is it what, or because he is predisposed to think we overregulate, the left is full of crap, therefore I don't believe this science? Like it's probably parts of all of them, but I'm curious what's in the frontal lobe of his brain, if that's even where the action is. Like what is motivating this reaction most? This decision most?
This might help answer some of your question, but he's also simultaneously launching an initiative to critique climate science. Yeah. So the vast majority of scientists believe that climate change, or have studied and have found that climate change is in fact real and it is man-made. And it doesn't matter that over 97% of them agree. He wants to critique the climate science, so he doesn't trust the science.
So let me explain that and then answer Ben's question.
Just real quick, this question for me still would be, because we'll never know. Does he not believe the science because it doesn't fit with his deregulation thing, or does he legitimately not believe the science?
No, yeah. So okay, I'll get to that in a sec. So the reason they want to do the panel where they critique climate change is it's such a win-win-win for them. Right. At a bare minimum, what it does is delay any action on climate change. Wait, we haven't decided yet. We're still doing the open and transparent panel on whether climate change exists and if it's man-made. Number two, they create a false balance. All of a sudden, it's not 97-3. We're having a conversation that is 50-50. We're having a debate.
Right? What are you against debate?
On anything, this is the oldest trick in the book. They did this with tobacco too. I mean, we're having a debate. Does it cause cancer? Does it not cause cancer? 97% of the scientists says it causes cancer, but we think it's 50-50. Let's take our time. Meanwhile, people are dying of cancer. Nobody's doing anything about it. So, and the list goes on for all the difference. And then, by the way, at the end, they could say, no, the science on it is mixed, hence we won't take any action. That's their third win. So just like the tobacco story, and there are people who would say, no, smoking tobacco is good for you. It'll uncancer you, it'll make you healthier, right? They put out all this junk. Did those people genuinely believe that? And my answer to that, and I don't mean to be glib, is I don't care. So if you pay people enough money, they will say anything. And if you pay them enough, they might even believe it. Or they're honest people, but in a country of 330 million people, you could find schmucks who believe anything and then finance them, okay? You either want a bad guy who will tell you that there is no such thing as climate change and that this particular pesticide does not cause developmental issues in brains. Well, you can find people who believe that, right? It's a giant country. You can find people that believe in any conspiracy, right? Or you can find bad guys who are like, I don't care, okay? Where's the money? The money gets me elected and gets all my friends elected, gets me power. Where is it? It's over there. What do you need me to say? Pesticides? Nah, the scientists are wrong. And so, like looking into Scott Pruitt's mind as to whether he's ignorant or evil, it's not important. What's important is fixing the systemic corruption that leads to these decisions over and over again.
The one downside to the panel for them might be in this blue ribbon panel. What do they call it? Red team, blue. They make it. Is that the Koch brothers did that in 2012 or 2013 with the same, and their panel was like came back and was like, yeah, man-made. I'm convinced. Here, it's full, it's unequivocal.
And luckily, then the Koch brothers switched their mind and then decided that they were, because they're genuine. They always talk about how genuinely, they just want to help the country. They're believers in freedom. They happen to make a lot of money from the fossil fuel industry, and shockingly enough, their own panel, when they said it is man-made and you should do something, they were like, yeah, go ahead and piss off. We still have the same exact opinion, which happens to help our bottom line.
Yeah.
Oh well. What's in TYT membership? Not gonna tell you. Only one way to find out. TYTnetwork.com/join.